Okay, so today we're reading from chapter 17, verse 21. Okay, so we're going to finish chapter 17 today, I guess. Okay. Yattu pratyupakarartham padam uddishya va punaha diyate cha pariklishtam taddanam raja samsmritam. So, charity. So we just started discussion about charity. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place. Okay, I don't know if we did 20 also. Maybe we didn't do. Let's do 20 also. Datavyam iti yad danam diyate anupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam smritam. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place and to a worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. So given out of duty without expectation of return, proper time and place to a worthy person. So there are 4 considerations. Purport. In the Vedic literature, charity given to a person engaged in spiritual activities is recommended. Now, actually, Prabhupada directly transcends sattva and goes to Shuddha sattva directly and says spiritual activities. So there is no recommendation for giving charity indiscriminately. What is this? Is indiscriminately. Today, people simply they just feel, oh, nice, this charity institution, that charitable institution. They just give indiscriminately. So Prabhupada is saying, no, don't just give charity indiscriminately. Give it to those people who are engaged in spiritual activities. Spiritual perfection is always a consideration. Therefore, charity is recommended to be given at a place of pilgrimage and at a lunar or solar eclipse or at the end of the month or to a qualified Brahmana or a Vaishnava or in temples. Such charity should be given without any consideration of return. Charity to the poor is sometimes given out of compassion. But if a poor man is not worthy giving charity to, then there is no spiritual advancement. In other words, indiscriminate. This is indiscriminate charity, which is giving to poor, is not recommended in the Vedic literature. Now, this is completely against what is normally followed in the material world, right? Everybody wants to just give charity to the poor. Prabhupada is saying that is indiscriminate. Why? Indiscriminate because there is no spiritual advancement. So every activity that we do should be towards spiritual advancement. If it is not going to give us spiritual advancement, there is no use. So here is saying equity given to poor if that person is not worth giving to. Worth means what? We give it to somebody who's begging at the signal, and what they do with that money we don't know. They might go and drink, for example. So then the charity actually resulted in further bondage to that person. So it binds us also in indirectly. So generally, if you want to give something to the poor, give them food. But normally you will see that they will not take food. They don't want food. They want money because they want to use it for other things. So yeah, it's something to be considered. So primarily charity has to be given to Vaishnavas. To institutions like ISKCON, because they are using it for propagating God consciousness, and we should do it without expectation of return. In fact, in this whole karma theory, if you give to some person, if he's a Brahmana, then we get 100 times return. Like that, there are some rules. So anyway, returns are going to come. But when we give it to Krishna, return is that we will get bhakti. We should not expect material return. We should just, whatever we do, we should just pray for Krishna bhakti. Okay, so this is charity in mode of goodness. Now there is charity in mode of passion and ignorance. That is the verse 21. Charity performed with expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood. Fruitive results is let me give this charity, then I will next life I will get 100 times, 1000 times return, fruitive result. Or in a grudging mood, sometimes people don't want to actually give charity, but they'll say, okay, my father is saying, or my uncle is saying, or somebody is saying, I have to give. Okay, take it. This is grudging mood. This is said to be in the mode of passion. Purport. Charity is sometimes performed for elevation to the heavenly kingdom, and sometimes with great trouble and with repentance afterwards. Why have I spent so much in this way? But he will do some charity and say, so much of money wasted. Grudging mood. Charity is also sometimes given under some obligation at the request of a superior. These kinds of charity are said to be given in the mode of passion. At the request of a superior means that the person who is actually giving charity, he doesn't feel like giving. Just because somebody has asked him or her, they are giving. There are many charitable foundations which offer their gifts to institutions where sense gratification goes on. Foundations, so people give money to charitable foundations. We don't know how this money is being used. So here Prabhupada is saying these charitable foundations offer gifts to institutions where sense gratification goes on. Such charities are not recommended in the Vedic scripture. Only charity in the mode of goodness is recommended. So when we are giving to such foundations, we have to be really very, very careful what they're going to use that money for. And see, at the end of the day, especially in Kali Yuga, everything is a business. Somewhere somebody is getting benefited. There is nothing like free money. Or free goods, right? So we have to be careful because I know before coming to Krishna consciousness, like from office, especially corporate, they'll say corporate social responsibility, give some money to the poor, some needy, help-age home, this, that, and all that. But we really don't know how this money is being used, what it is it really helping the people, etc. Even if it helps people materially, it is still in the mode of goodness. But better than that is actually giving money to Vaishnavas. Now, this is mode of passion. What about mode of ignorance? Adeshakale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asatkritam avagnatam tattamasam udahratam. And charity performed at an impure place, improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Impure place, improper time, unworthy person, or without proper attention and respect. Contributions for indulgence in intoxication and gambling are not encouraged here. So this is what happens when you give money to beggars on the street. We are contributing for indulgence in intoxication and gambling. That sort of contribution is the mode of ignorance. Such charity is not beneficial. Rather, sinful persons are encouraged. Similarly, if a person gives charity to a suitable person, but without respect and attention, that sort of charity is also said to be in the mode of darkness. So we should very happily give charity to Vaishnavas because it pleases Krishna. Okay, now conclusive part of this chapter. Om Tat Sat Iti Tirdesho Brahmanastrividasmritaha Brahmanastena Vedascha Yagnascha Vihitah Pura. From the beginning of creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. So we all heard this Om Tat Sat. Om Sat Tat Sat used to indicate supreme absolute truth. Supreme absolute truth. What is the supreme? Supreme means there is nothing greater than that. It is a supreme truth. Good, better, best, like that. Superlative. Supreme. And then absolute. The meaning of absolute is, in the material world, truth is relative. Meaning, one truth is dependent on another truth. For example, if I am seeing something, that truth depends on me being able to see, which depends on light. So it is all dependent on other truths. So my having eyesight, that is a truth. That depends on light being there. So light being there is also another truth. So without light, without me being able to see that object is present, the truth cannot be accepted as truth, because I will not be able to see the object when there is no light or when I cannot see. So this is all relative. One truth is relative, dependent on another. But absolute truth is something which doesn't depend on anything else, which is not relative, which is absolute, which is non-dependent on something else. So this Om Tat Sat represents Supreme Person, Supreme Absolute Truth. Purport. It has been explained that penance, sacrifice, charity, and foods are divided into three categories: mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. But whether first class, second class, or third class, they're all conditioned, contaminated by the modes of nature. When they're aimed at the Supreme Om Tat Sat, the Supreme Person of God, the Eternal, they become means for spiritual elevation. So Prabhupada is saying, okay, we studied all this penance, sacrifice, charity, foods, everything which is in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, but this is all useless because this is all binding. What is required is that all of these should be offered to Om Tat Sat, which is Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the scriptural injunctions, such an objective is indicated. These three words, Om Tat Sat, particularly indicate the absolute truth. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vedic hymns, the word Om is always found. We know Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's found in Vedic hymns. Now, one who acts without following the regulations of scriptures will not attain the absolute truth. So, if somebody is giving charity in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion or ignorance, which is not recommended in the Shastra, then they will not attain the Supreme Absolute Truth. Then what is the use of that charity? It's only going to give punya, right? And what is the result of punya? Another birth. What is the result of another birth? Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. No use. He will get some temporary result, but not the ultimate end of life. The conclusion is that the performance of charity, sacrifice, penance must be done in the mode of goodness. Performed in the mode of passion or ignorance, they are certainly inferior in quality. The three words Om Tat Sat are uttered in conjunction with the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Example, Om Tat Vishnu. Whenever a Vedic hymn or the holy name of the Supreme Lord is uttered, Om is added. This is the indication of Vedic literature. These three words are taken from Vedic hymns. Om iti etat brahmano nedishtham nama Rigveda indicates the first goal, Om. Then Tattvam Asi, Chandogya Upanishad, indicates the second goal, Tat. And Sad Eva Saumya, Chandogya Upanishad, indicates the third goal. Combined, they become Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat means offering obeisances to, Tat means that, Sat is Satya, or that absolute truth. Formerly, when Brahma, the first created living entity, performed sacrifices indicated by these three words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the same principle has been followed by disciplic succession. So this hymn has great significance. Bhagavad Gita recommends, therefore, that any work done should be done for Om Tat Sat, or for Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one performs penance, charity, and sacrifice with these three words, he is acting in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a scientific execution of transcendental activities which enables one to return home back to Godhead. So bhakti, activities of bhakti, that's what Prabhupada is saying. There is no loss of energy in acting in such a transcendental way because it continues in the next life. There is no loss in this. So the whole thing is that in the 17th chapter we discussed penance, sacrifice, charity, foods. All this must be done for Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. That is what will give us help us attain the ultimate end of life. Otherwise, we are going to end up getting punya and again come back to this material world to enjoy the results, which is useless. Okay. 24. Tasmad omiti udharitya yagnadana tapakriyah pravartante vidanokta satatam brahmavadinam. Same thing Prabhupada has already said. Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performance of sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with scriptural indications begin always with Om to attain the Supreme. Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam. The lotus feet of Vishnu are the supreme devotional platform. The perfect performance of everything on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead assures the perfection of all activity. That is why Krishna is saying, when somebody is inclined to do karma, he says, Yat karoshi, yat jasnosi, yat juhosi, dadasi, yat tat kurusho madarpanam. So he's saying that is karma yoga. So if somebody wants to do something, do it for me. Somebody wants to offer something, offer it for me. Somebody wants to give some charity, give it for me. Hmm. So this is transcendental. So Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam. Next, Tat. Tad iti anabisandhaya. Phalam yagna tapakriyaha dana kriyascha vividaha kriyante moksha kankshibhihi. Without desiring fruitive results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifices, penance and charity with the word Tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. So we shouldn't be doing sacrifice, penance and charity to get results in punya and come back to this material world again. So we have to do all this. We should use all of them in transcendental activities so that we get free from material entanglement. To be elevated to the spiritual position, one should not act for any material gain. Even devotees, many times, we see devotees are also acting for material gain. It's no use. It's going to bring us back again to this miserable material world. Act should be performed for the ultimate gain of being transferred to the spiritual kingdom, back to home, back to Godhead. So that must be the goal of all our activities. We should not be doing anything. Actually, it is said that Bhagavad Gita only we see that sadhus do everything for just purification, not for material accomplishments. Everything we should do it for our purification. Purification means getting out of this material world, not getting stuck in this material world. So this is very, very important. So everything must be done for his pleasure. Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha sadityetat prayujyate prashaste karmani tatha Sachabdah partha yujyate jagne tapasidane cha stitis saddhiti chochyate karma chaiva tadatthiyam saddityeva abhidiyate. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional service. So when we say absolute truth, it just means Krishna. He is the objective of devotional service, and it is indicated by the word Sat or Satya or real. The performer of such sacrifice is also called Sat, as well as are all works of sacrifice, penance and charity, which, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person, O son of Pratha. The words prashaste karmani or prescribed duties indicate that there are many activities prescribed in the Vedic literature, which are purificatory processes beginning from the time of conception. So these are called samskaras, beginning at the time of conception up to the end of one's life. Such purificatory processes are adopted for the ultimate liberation of the living entity. In all such activities, it is recommended that one vibrate Om Tat Sat. The word Sadbhave, Sadhubhave indicate the transcendental situation. Acting in Krishna consciousness is called Sattva, and one who is fully conscious of activities of Krishna consciousness is called a Sadhu. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the transcendental subject matter becomes clear in the association of the devotees. And the words used are Satam Prasangat. Without good association, one cannot achieve transcendental knowledge. So when we say good association means that kind of association which is actually strictly following the rules of the scripture, not just knowledge. See, in Vedic literature, Vedic terminology, when we say gnana is associated with vijnana. For example, in the material world, we might say, I know the traffic rules, but I may not follow them. So gnana and vijnana. Vijnana means practical application. Might not happen, which means I might have knowledge, but I might not apply it. But in Vedic literature, when somebody says I have knowledge, that actually means that I am applying that knowledge. In Vedic terminology, there is no question of knowledge without application. That is Agnana. So here it is saying that one should be with good, without good association, one cannot achieve transcendental knowledge. Good association means association of devotees who are actually practicing what they are reading, not simply theoretical knowledge. We should not associate with somebody just because they have a lot of knowledge. No. We should associate with somebody because they have a lot of knowledge and they're also adopting that in their life. Otherwise, that association is not fruitful. When we say association, it refers to whom we are hearing from, whom we are having close relationships with, etc., etc. Right? And very importantly, Shravanam. See, here what we are doing, we are simply reading from Prabhupada's purport, so it's safe. Of course, even there, one might interpret something wrongly. But when we are on the internet, especially, there are so many classes, all kinds of, so many preachers. Day before I met somebody. So I was asking him, whose classes are you hearing? He said, all the famous preachers in ISKCON. So famous means who get maximum clicks on their lectures. Now, but really, that's not how we should choose whom we hear from. We should know the person whom we are hearing from. We should know that he or she is following what is given in the scriptures, and then we will also get the strength to follow it. See, this is the actually test of Shravanam. So somebody said he was hearing for 2 years. I said, okay, what have you learned from it? He couldn't conclusively say. Actually, I wanted him to say that I have surrendered to Krishna, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'm reading Prabhupada's books. Then I would have said, okay, this Shravanam has had impact. But he was not clear. He was just generally telling some stories and Prabhupada, Leela and all that. I said, okay, all that is fine, but what is the end result? If whomever you are hearing from did not convince you or make you think that you have to engage in activities of bhakti, then that Shravanam is of no real consequence. So quality of Shravanam is seen in the quality of how the people who are hearing will apply those in their life. Otherwise, that Shravanam is not had any serious impact. Okay. So when initiating a person or offering the sacred thread, one vibrates the words Om Tat Sat. Similarly, in all kinds of performance of yajna, the object is the supreme Om Tat Sat. The word Tadarthiyam further means offering service to anything which represents the supreme, including such service as cooking and helping in the Lord's temple or any other kind of work for broadcasting the glories of the Lord. So seva, prachar, all these are considered tadarthiyam. Tadarthiyam means for his sake. Tad means him. Arthiyam means sake. Tadarthiyam, for his sake. For him, for his pleasure. These supreme words Om Tat Sat are thus used in many ways to perfect all activities and make everything complete. Also, we should understand, it's not that I do some nonsense and just say Om Tat Sat. It doesn't mean anything. That's not of use. Om Tat Sat means that we are engaged in activities which are for Om Tat Sat, which means which are to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is why what kind of activities we engage in is very, very important. Bhagavad Gita finally teaches us that we should do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. But most interpreters or commentators on Bhagavad Gita don't come to this conclusion. They conclude that actually heart of Bhagavad Gita is Karma Yoga, somebody else is Gnana Yoga. But really it is coming to the platform of surrendering to Krishna. And this surrender we'll discuss in the next chapter. Beautiful discussion we will have on surrender. Okay, verse 28. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asad ityuchyate partha nachattat pretyano hiha. Anything done as a sacrifice, anything done as sacrifice, charity or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Prutha, is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and the next. And so Krishna concludes saying anything done without faith in him is useless, both in this life and next. Why this life and next? Normally, previously people always used to think about this life and next. Nowadays people only think about this life because they have no idea of next. But anyway, so whoever is doing anything without faith in Supreme, he is useless. All that is useless because it is called asat. But anything done without the transcendental objective, whether it be sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. Simple, straightforward, conclusive statement by Prabhupada. Therefore, in this word, it is declared that such activities are abominable. Now, a sloka verse itself is not saying that it is abominable. But Prabhupada is saying that it is actually abominable. It is horrible. It shouldn't be even thought about. We shouldn't engage in these things. Everything should be done for the Supreme in Krishna consciousness. Without such faith and without the proper guidance, there can never be any fruit. First is we should have faith in Krishna, Krishna's teachings, faith in Krishna's representatives, his devotees. Not only that, we should get proper guidance. So this is very, very important. Again, highlights the importance of Sangha. Without that, there can never be any fruit. We cannot really achieve anything. So many people say, no, I will read all these books myself. Yeah, you can read all the books, but you don't know what to do with it by the end of it. Because Sevan Mukhehi Jivado, Swayameva Sprotyada. Krishna will reveal himself only to those who are engaged in activities of bhakti, not in theoretical armchair philosophy. Prabhupada used to call it armchair philosophy, which means that simply sitting and talking about some philosophy. I know Krishna, I know God, I am doing bhakti, this, that, and all that, but they don't know anything, and they are not connected to any parampara. That is useless. They are not going to get any fruit. Even those connected to parampara, if they are not under proper guidance, again they will lose their way. Like somebody was telling me, in some ISKCON temple on Ganesh Chaturthi, they were worshipping Ganesha. I said, wow, okay. This is interesting. Where ISKCON is going. Somebody else was saying, and somebody said we can worship Brahma. So like this, something people would have heard here and there, some bits and pieces, taken it out of context, then done some mishmash, and then something new comes up. So this is not proper guidance. Proper guidance means just following Prabhupada as it is. That is proper guidance. And Prabhupada wanted us to follow Vedic, scriptures. So Vedic way of life. So that is also proper guidance. In all Vedic scriptures, faith in the Supreme is advised. In the pursuit of all Vedic instructions, the ultimate goal is understanding of Krishna. Vedeshta sarver ameva vedyaha. No one can obtain success without following this principle. Therefore, the best course is to work from the very beginning in Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. That is the way to make everything successful. Clear. In the conditional state, people are attracted to worshipping demigods, ghosts, or yakshas like Kuvera. The mode of goodness is better than mode of passion and ignorance. But one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of material nature. Although there is a process of gradual elevation, if one by the association of pure devotees takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way. So this is very beautiful. Traditionally, this process is gradual. That means somebody in the mode of ignorance, then comes to passion, then comes to goodness, then eventually comes to Shuddha Sattva. But here Prabhupada is saying, instead of this gradual elevation, if one by association of pure devotees, because they are transcendental, their association will have a rub-off effect on the person who gets the association, and without having to go through the gradual steps, a person will directly come to Shuddha Sattva or pure transcendence. This is the shortcut. This is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us. And that is recommended in this chapter. To achieve success in this way, one must first find the proper spiritual master and receive training under his direction. Now, what is proper spiritual master? Proper means one who is connected to a parampara and is following the instructions of acharyas, like following his guru and so on in the parampara, is a proper spiritual master, right? And receive training under his direction. This is very, very important. Most people get initiated, but they don't get any training. This is not going to help. How do you get training? Sometimes we see, okay, one guru has thousands of disciples. He doesn't even know us. How will we get training from that guru? So generally, gurus have their own methodology systems that they've created. Some might have mentor system. Some other might have some other. So some different various methods. But the important thing is that we should be under the guidance of some person who is a representative of the guru, and get training from him or her. Otherwise, we cannot make progress. So this is very, very important. Prabhupada is making this very clear, right? Receive training under his direction. Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. Oh, so beautiful statement. See, by getting direction from a person who is representative of Guru or his representative, one can achieve faith in Supreme. Why? Because when we follow the instructions faithfully, we will start seeing results. So when we don't follow anything properly and we don't get the required results, then we will be questioning. Oh, Shastra says that somebody chanting Nama will get rid of all karma phala, or he can get rid of more sins than he can commit. But I'm still suffering with so many sinful reactions. Oh, so then I lose faith. No, the reason I'm still suffering from sinful reaction is because I'm not following the process properly. I've not got the required proper training, and I should be in the guidance of somebody who will tell me this, saying that you have a wrong understanding of philosophy. If I don't have all this, then I will lose faith, or my faith might just become very shallow, and it'll die in course of time when I'm faced with difficult situations. So it is very important that we are under the proper guidance. When that faith matures in course of time, it is called love of God. So the whole process of bhakti, Prabhupada elsewhere also comments saying that bhakti means increasing faith from Komal Shraddha to Tivra Shraddha, right? Sampurna Shraddha. That is the whole process of bhakti. And when we reach that complete faith, that is love of God. This love is the ultimate goal of the living entity. See, Prabhupada has given the ultimate goal of life in his purpose in Bhagavad Gita itself. Goal of life is love of God. This love is the ultimate goal. One should therefore take to Krishna consciousness directly. No need to take up any indirect process. That is the message of this 17th chapter. So basically, what is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? Is to surrender to Krishna, surrender to his representatives, and thereby following their guidance, taking their guidance, achieving perfection of life. Okay. So with this, we complete chapter 17. If anybody has any questions, clarifications, we can do that, and then we will start with chapter 18 next. Hare Krishna. No questions, no comments. Okay. As usual, a complete monologue class, and end of class also, no conversation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question on charity. In the temple, I was given the chappan bowl, and I had been instructed not to give to anyone who eats non-veg.
No, nothing like that.
Can
we should absolutely give prasadam to anybody and everybody. We should give. Otherwise, how will they get mercy? They won't get mercy. I have not come across this. Anybody saying that don't give chappan bhog to people who eat non-veg. I don't know. Anybody else has heard this? That we should not give bhog, prasad to people who do eat non-veg? Not something I have come across. So you should ask that. Yeah. Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Yeah.
Prabhu, in that case, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. In that case, many of our friends have asked, is it okay to wear kantimala?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
suggest?
Yeah. Kantimala, actually, there are 3 kantimalas. There is a single round, double round, 3 rounds. 3 rounds is only meant for people who are initiated. Again, I see people not following this rule in our temple. 1 round is for people who have just developed faith. Okay, they might, and normally, but we will tell them saying that if you're eating onion garlic, don't wear. I mean, I normally say. Again, these rules are not necessarily followed. 2 rounds is for somebody who's become fixed. In fixed meaning, he's now stopped. He's following ABCD properly, right? Honoring only prasadam, chanting Hare Krishna every day, and trying to live a life of a devotee. He can wear 2 rounds. Generally we don't encourage people to wear kantimala because they'll just think that it is some, without me having to do anything, I got some status of wearing kantimala. So I normally say at least you should stop onion garlic. You should be chanting at least 2 to 4 rounds, then you can wear single round kantimala.
Okay, Prabhu, understood. They will also not know the value of it, is what I feel.
Correct. That's correct. Correct. So they'll think it's an entitlement. Okay, I just came, somebody gave me, okay, done. And people wearing 3 rounds, though, I mean, it's just like nobody tells. Anyway, I mean, so, even those who are in the store who are selling, sometimes, if I am in the store, somebody comes and asks for tulsi mala, I ask them, tulsi beads, chanting beads, I ask them, are you initiated? They say no. I said, then you should not take it. But otherwise, generally people in the store, whoever is their devotee, they will not ask. They'll just say, okay, you want tulsi mala? Okay, take it. 1,500 rupees. So we should also preach in every aspect of Krishna consciousness, not just, we're not some shop, right? So if somebody asks for 3 rounds kantimala, we should ask, okay, are you initiated? No means, okay, you're not supposed to wear. Simple. So that way we can also educate people, but we don't do, unfortunately, for whatever reason. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So we'll end there. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha samaveta gaura bhaktavrindi ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.